Hey guys, Chauncey Phillips here with my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. They're gonna go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. I know today though the big releases are Tag and Upgrade. I don't think there's any exclusive editions though of Tag. Also though, at the end of this video is gonna be a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for things I received to review and talk about for you guys. So definitely stay tuned for those at the end of this video. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today.
Into Walmart we go.
And I know I'm in Walmart first, but I went to Target a minute ago and nothing was put out in there at all. So I might go to another Target later, but I'm not sure. There's one thing in here though I'm hoping that they have that looked like they had it for the best price. But I think I'm gonna also for sure though go to one of the thrift stores I haven't been to in about like a month or so, and maybe Big Lots. So I'm not sure, might go to another Target and see though, but I don't think there's too many things in there they would have. I feel like it's just gonna be probably Tag and Book Club is one of the other ones today.
But luckily enough in here it looks like they put everything out. And like I said, one of the big releases today was Tag, and that one's $22.96 for the Blu-ray of that one. I saw this one in theaters. I thought this was actually a pretty fun movie about these friends that have been playing this game of tag. I think it was like, I don't know how many years it was, like 20 years or like since they were kids or something, and the one guy, Jeremy Renner's character, has never been tagged, and like they're getting ready to finally like have their last year of playing this game, and they want to finally actually tag his character, and that's essentially what it's about. So it's like them all kind of working together to try and finally tag him. Other than that, like I said, Book Club came out today. That one's $19.96 for that. But the one that I was going to get today was Upgrade. I saw this one in theaters. Really liked this one a lot. I thought this was a really cool science fiction film. The only pain is there's like no features at all in this movie, but it's one of those ones like it's kind of a shame because I really would love to see like the making of on this one. Kind of has like a Hardcore Henry kind of vibe to it, but if you guys haven't seen this one, highly recommend you guys check this one out. This one's $19.96. I saw this one's $22.99 at Best Buy. Like I said, I don't know if Target's going to carry that. Other than that today, I think this one here, Purnell from HBO, I believe that one was today. And other than that, I think this one may have been today. This one here, Ray, this DC animated movie, Ray. I don't know this character at all. I've never really heard of that character, Ray. I don't think I have. And next week, though, in here, this section will all be changed out. So there's a bunch of new stuff coming out. So definitely look forward to seeing, you know, all the stuff that they change out this section for next Tuesday. Because like, if you guys didn't know, like the first Tuesday of every month, this section always changes out to be a whole bunch of new stuff. And I know there's a couple different things, so definitely, like I said, definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to have in here next month. But definitely going to pick up this one for sure, though.
Yeah, and like I said, I ended up picking up this one. I hate, though, those things that they put it in, those plastic cases, because when they get it out, it always kind of like crinks up the end of a slipcover and stuff. So that's always a pain when those ones are in it. It's weird. It's like some of them are in those cases and the other ones aren't. Like I said, though, if you guys haven't seen this one, really would recommend this. Really like this one a lot. But now let's head over to Big Lots.
Into Big Lots we go. Well, in here, though, they actually changed it out now. It looks a little different, like there's different shelves and stuff in here, but it seems like a lot of the same things in here. Blu-ray-wise, I was looking through here, not really seeing anything too different in here that I haven't seen in the past, but I did see one thing in here, and I actually never got this one, and I actually like this movie. You know, this was Max Joseph from Catfish, and I just heard he actually just left the show. I didn't know that until like recently, but I think like his last episode just aired like a week or so ago. This was actually an okay movie, and for $3, I don't have that one, but this is kind of an obscure one to see, this old Alien 3 DVD here. I always really loved this movie. I know this movie had like all kind of mixed reactions and everything. There's something really cool about this movie to me, like the setting and everything, but other than that in here, like all the stuff is $3 and $5 for the DVDs, but not really seeing anything else in here too different here today. I've been just kind of like looking through all this stuff. I think this is one of the newer ones I haven't seen in the past, the Unfriended DVD here. I actually really like the sequel to this one a lot, but I think I'll probably get this Where Are Your Friends one for $3. But other than that in here, though, nothing really else too different in here as far as I can tell. But like I said, they totally like changed the look of the store and like totally updated it with these black shelves and everything in here. But yeah, nothing else really too different here as far as I can tell, though.
Yeah, so I ended up getting that We Are Your Friends in there for $3, and then Interview with a Vampire for $3, which is actually not a very bad price for this. This is one of those movies I actually never even saw until like a month ago. I saw it like edited, really badly edited up at the gym, and I was like, that's actually a pretty cool movie that I never saw, like I said, till like recently.
Into the Valley Thrift Store we go. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been here. I think it's been like exactly 1 month or so since I've been in here. But gonna go through all this stuff, and they definitely do have a bunch of stuff to go through. I think this one here, is out of print. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna grab this one. I know I don't have this. I'm pretty sure I gotta look this one up, but you never ever see this. So I'm definitely gonna look this up. It might have been released again with like a burn on demand release. But this is definitely one I'm going to get. I know for sure I don't have this. But like I said, going to go in here and just sort of look through everything, see if there's anything in here different. As far as I can tell right away, though, there definitely is a whole lot more stuff in here than I'd seen in the past. So I'll pull out anything interesting and show you guys what I come across in here. This is an interesting 3-pack here. Hopefully they release, I think the first one's on Blu-ray, but I'm pretty sure the second and third on. And I really like the third one because it has like some great footage on like, I think it was on the Universal Backlash tour. I think they filmed some on it. But I don't know, I really like the third one of that movie for some reason. But like I said, just gonna go through all this and see what I can find.
Yeah, I actually found a couple decent things in here. I found this Dudley Moore, Richard Pryor movie I've never seen called Holy Moses. That one, like, it seems like it was like $40 for that one. And then this movie here called Bad Medicine with Steve Guttenberg. It's one of those burn on demand ones. And then, like I said, the Dracula, Dead and Loving, and each of these were only $2 each. So definitely good prices on these ones. I couldn't show too much in the store though, because there's people everywhere looking. But luckily enough, I found some decent stuff in there today. And this past weekend, I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was the remake of the film Papillon, which stars, the original starred Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. Always really, really loved that film. It's one of those movies you don't hear about too often. I feel like it was a pretty underrated movie. The new one stars Charlie Hunnam, I think is how you say his name, who was from Sons of Anarchy, and, Remy Malek, who was on, from Mr. Robot. I have to say, though, I actually thought the remake was actually really well done. It's a much more brutal film than the original one. The original film was PG, so, they couldn't, go that far with, like, how brutal the whole experience was. But if you never saw the movie, it was about Charlie Hunnam's character, Hunnam, I always say his name wrong, but his character who ends up getting framed for murder and put into this terrible prison, like one of the worst prisons imaginable, where they have all these terrible rules and people are dying all the time, like horrific. And he ends up becoming friends with Remy Malek's character and kind of helps him along the way because his character has a lot of money and he thinks that he can use that money, in an attempt to escape from this prison. It's kind of like about all the horrific situations that they go through, and things just keep getting worse and worse and worse. But both of them did a really, really good job in the movie. Really, really loved it. The other one that I saw was the new film starring Melissa McCarthy, The Happy Time Murders, which, was actually directed by Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson. He directed a couple of different of the Muppet movies, like the later Muppet films. And, the movie, though, I will say it's one of those movies where the trailer kind of shows, like, a lot, especially the Red Band trailer, kind of gives away a whole lot of the jokes and stuff like that. So there's not a ton of surprises in it. And it's kind of fun, though, because it's like a super R-rated, like, Muppets type film. And it's basically about, like, these the Muppet characters, or the puppet characters in the film, are getting killed off, and it's a puppet detective who's, like, on the case of trying to investigate who is involved with these murders, and he's working with Melissa McCarthy, who's a cop who he used to be partnered with years back, and it's kind of them working together trying to track down who is behind killing these puppets. And all the puppets that are getting killed were from a popular TV show. I don't know, it wasn't perfect or anything, like nothing about it was absolutely amazing, but it was a fun, like, ridiculous, over-the-top kind of film. If you guys saw, though, either of those films this weekend, let me know what you guys thought of them, or let me know, what movies you guys got to see this past weekend if you saw anything.
Into Best Buy we go. Yeah, and in here, though, they have Upgrade here, and that one's, $22.99. Like I said, this one is $3 more for this one than it was at Walmart. And then Tag is $22.99 here as well. Other than that, though, I think this might have been, I think I saw that there were some new Steelbooks that came out today. Yeah, these ones came out today. They have this one here, which is the Speed Steelbook here. They also all include $8 money to see the new Predator film, or towards a ticket. They have this new one here for Fight Club. This is a pretty cool image on this. And these ones are all $12.99 for these new Steelbooks. They have this Taken one here, which is actually the 3 movie collection here, which is not a bad price for $12.99 for all 3 of the movies and in the Steelbook. And then this Robot Steelbook here. It's a pretty cool one. on this. And then the Day After Tomorrow Steelbook. Here is one. I'm pretty sure all these ones released today, as far as I know, and they still have a bunch of copies of the Deadpool Steelbooks left in here as well. So there's definitely, you know, we never know with these Steelbooks, you know, how quick they go, but it definitely seems like the Deadpool ones, they got in a whole lot of them.
So anyway though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping fair today. I actually found a couple different things today, you know, at the thrift store and then the stuff at Big Lots, as well as Upgrade. In the comments below though, let me know what you guys picked up, if you guys picked up anything today. Also, let me know what you guys thought of any of the titles that I reviewed in the review portion of the video at the end. But anyway though, guys, now stay tuned for a bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got here is from Arrow Video's Arrow Academy line. Just to let you guys know that this one is available, and this is Bloody Spear at Mount Fuji. This one here has brand new optional English subtitles on here, newly translated English subtitles on this release, as well as a brand new commentary track on here with Japanese film expert Jasper Sharp, as well as an interview with the director's son on here, as well as an interview for the publicists for the film studios that made the film. And also in here too, it has a booklet with some pictures and some facts and stuff about the production of the movie and all that stuff as well. But like I said, just want you guys know that this one is available from the Arrow Academy for those of you who are interested. Now, the next one here is from Lionsgate, and it's a movie here called Beast. This is a really, really interesting movie. This movie is basically, though, about this girl who, you know, lives with her family, and her mother is extremely clingy, like very, very, she's like kind of watching everything that she does, kind of like, you know, telling her what to do, you know, saying, you got to do this, you got to do that, and like kind of like watching everything. Like anytime she goes out, she's wondering where she's going. She kind of is like telling her, you don't know, you're going to do this, and this is what you're going to do, kind of controlling every aspect of her life. And this starts off in the very beginning at this girl's birthday party, and like the mother has kind of like all of her friends there, and like, you know, she's kind of, this girl is kind of getting tired of the whole thing and kind of having to put on a show for these people and everything. So she ends up leaving, going out that night, going to the club, partying, drinking, and she hangs out with this one guy, hangs out there all night to the very morning, and she ends up leaving with this guy. And then the very next morning, though, you know, after she left the club with this guy, and the guy is like acting weird to her and like starts to bother her, and this other guy who's out in the middle, like, you know, by the beach and stuff, he sees that this guy is continuously bothering her, and he ends up basically scaring this guy off, and she ends up meeting him, you know, the guy who's scaring him off. It's essentially, though, about her starting to see this guy, but, like, it becomes, like, a really weird thing, though, because, and it's the very beginning of this, like, the people in the town, though, there's some odd stuff that has happened in the town. There's some people who have ended up, you know, killed, and it's sort of like, you know, weird things are starting to look with this guy, like, could he have something to do with this? And that's essentially all I can really say about this, is like, but it deals with, though, the mother is like kind of like trying to get away in the way about with this relationship, and like, you know, doesn't want her seeing anybody, and like this girl, too, has had all sorts of problems in her past and everything as well. So you find out more and more about all this as the movie goes along. But this is honestly, like I said, a really, really interesting movie, a really interesting character piece, really, really well done. Both the leads in this one did a really good job as well in this one. But I think this one is definitely worth checking out. This has on here, though, the making of the Beast, as well as a look at the Beast, a photo gallery, and a theatrical trailer on this one. The next ones here are from Warner Brothers. They sent over free copies of these ones to let you guys know about. This is Supernatural, the complete 13th season here of the show. And the thing that's pretty fun is one of the episodes on here, and I thought it was really cool that they did this, was the characters who are these brothers, and basically they, you know, investigate kind of like supernatural type events and like demons and all kinds of stuff. They kind of try and stop the bad, you know, creatures and all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of episodes are like deal with science fiction type things, horror type aspects. I've only ever watched episodes, a couple episodes here and there, but the one episode on here that's really fun, though, is they end up basically in this pawn shop, and they stop this kind of demon type stuffed animal monster that came to life, and as a payment the guy gives them a TV. They take the TV home and they plug it in, and it's like, you know, a possessed TV, and they end up getting sucked into an episode of Scooby-Doo, and it's them, you know, it becomes an animated episode with the two brothers stuck in Scooby-Doo, and it's like a classic episode of Scooby-Doo, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out, and it's like them you know, interacting with the characters and helping the Scooby-Doo and the gang and Shaggy and everything everything, try and solve a case. I don't know. I thought that was really fun that they did that. I think I've read too, like they've done some stuff like that in the past. Some kind of, I don't know for sure they've done other kind of like when they end up in classic type things or not. But I thought that was really fun that they ended up doing an animated episode. This has on here though 5 all new featurettes on here. Thing on here. Like one of the featurettes though is actually about the making of the Scooby-Doo special on here, as well as the Supernatural 2017 Comic-Con panel, 2 audio commentaries on here, unaired scenes, and a gag reel on this one. It also includes the digital copy. The next one here that Warner Bros. Sent over a free copy of as well, and this I just started watching this, and this is the complete first season here of Young Sheldon, which this is the Sheldon Cooper character, who's played by Jim Parsons' character on Big Bang Theory. This is his character when he's a kid, kind of growing up, and Jim Parsons actually, narrates the show as well. It kind of like with him narrating and everything, the way it kind of flows, it kind of has that vibe of like the Wonder Years mixed with like the humor of like Malcolm in the Middle a little bit in here. But it's basically though, like I said, the young Sheldon Cooper as a kid and with his family and his brother, and he's since he's the Sheldon Cooper's character is like a genius, he ends up being 9 years old going into the 9th grade. So it's like it becomes a whole awkward thing about him going to school with his brother who's actually in the 9th grade, and he has to be in classes with him, and he's like the teachers don't like him because he's kind of like, since he's like this real know-it-all kid, knows everything, he's like pointing out things and saying, this isn't right, and what's your credentials and all sorts of things. It's a really fun show. Like, I was really getting into this. There's a lot of like character actors popping up in here as well. It's funny, the one of Sheldon Cooper's teachers, I was like, what did I know her from? And she was from National Lampoon's Senior Trip. She was like the main teacher in that movie. So it's cool to see her again and stuff. She's been in a bunch of stuff, but I kept thinking, like, what did I know her from? This has on here though 2 featurettes, Young Sheldon, an origin story, and sibling rivalry on this one. I believe the 2nd season of this one is going to be starting up, I think, sometime next month. The next one here is from Sony, and this is a TV series here called S.W.A.T, and this is the complete first season of that show. This is basically, though, about a SWAT team, and in the very first episode though, this one person ends up getting killed, this kid, in like basically the one guy shoots because they're going after this guy, and this one person gets shot, and because of that, though, the mayor ends up firing, and the chief, I think it was the chief, ends up firing the guy who did that, and then appointing the main character to be the head of this SWAT team. And it's essentially, though, about his character, joining on to this team, and it sort of becomes like, joining on is actually being the lead. He was originally just kind of part of this SWAT team, but he ends up actually becoming, the leader of this team, and he has to kind of run it. And it's all about him trying to kind of work out the ropes of this, because he doesn't totally know how to run this, and there's all sorts of other problems happening too around with the team, and it has some stuff in his own personal life going on as well. So it's all that kind of stuff about him kind of trying to juggle the whole thing and kind of try and keep the team together and keep things running smoothly after the controversy as well too with the shooting and everything. This has on here though deleted scenes and a gag reel on this one. The next one from Sony as well, one that you guys know, this one is releasing, and this is the Goldbergs, the complete 5th season, and this is a very fun show. It stars Jeff Garlin, and it's Wendy McLean Covey, who I always think of from Reno 911, and this is basically about this family. It's all set in the 80s, and that's something that's fun about this as well. Like, it's being set in the 80s, there's all kinds of throwbacks to things in the 80s, and the Halloween and stuff, the kind of characters they dress up as, and the clothes and the music and everything. But it's basically though about this family, and it's sort of all about their kind of problems, and it deals with the kids going to school, and the one girl is getting ready to go to college, so it's her starting off in college, and her dealing with, this season deals with her having situations and problems in school, and then all sorts of kind of stuff, and the grandfather character and stuff. It's a very, very fun show. Like I said too, like, always love Jeff Garlin, who's from Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's really funny on this show. This has on here though deleted scenes and a gag reel, but like I said, just want you guys know that this one is available on DVD now. The next one here this is from Sony as well. This is a pretty interesting movie. This stars Alex Sharp, who was in that movie How to Talk to Girls at Parties, which I really love that film. And then Gillian Anderson from The X-Files. And the other actress in this is from the Miss Peregrine's Home for Imaginary Friends. I think that was what it's called. She was the main girl in that. It's a movie called UFO. And this is like, it's got some real technical kind of stuff, because it's basically, though, about at this airport, they ended up seeing this weird, whole group of people. So this huge sort of like unidentified flying saucer, UFO, is basically like this huge thing. But, when this is like kind of spotted and everyone in the town is talking about it, it's on the news and everything, immediately, though, a team is brought in to try and kind of cover up it, and they're like saying, no, the team is kind of brought in and saying that this thing was only this big, it was only like 8 feet, and people who saw it thought it was like 80 feet. But this kid, played by Alex Sharp, though, who's like totally into math, and he's in the math class, who's the teacher is Gillian Anderson's character, he's like, immediately saying, this isn't right, and he's doing the math and saying this thing would be 80 feet and this is not 8 feet, and he's like, basically, he calls up the investigator who was on the news saying it and everything, saying this isn't right. And of course, though, because of that, they're kind of like watching this kid, and this kid is kind of like coming around, going to the airport the next day, and seeing, like, because they said it was just a small plane and everything. He's there, like, noticing that there's all these government officials there. So it's essentially about him trying to get to the bottom of what this thing is and what exactly is being covered up, because he knows, and he's figured out, though, that something is actually going on, and he's kind of ends up roped into this whole kind of cover-up thing. Like I said, it deals with a whole lot of kind of technical stuff, though, of him trying to figure out exactly what this thing is, and then, and exactly what is this kind of alien thing, and like what other things has this group who kind of came in covered up as well in the past. So like I said, pretty interesting kind of like alien science fiction film. And the next one I got here is from Paramount. I just want you guys to know that this one is available. And this is Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, the 5-film collection here on 4K. This has all the films on 4K as well as Blu-ray, and it also includes digital copies of the movies as well. If you guys don't know the Jack Ryan character, his character works in the CIA. It's essentially, throughout the films, it's his character trying to stop bad things from happening, or he's going after a certain person, or like people are kind of coming after him. These are really, really fun movies. I know I saw for sure Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit in theaters, which I really, really like that one a lot. And I think I saw some of All Fears in theaters. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure I did. But throughout the years, though, Jack Ryan, though, has been played by a lot of different actors. Like Harrison Ford played him. Most recently, it was Chris Pine playing Jack Ryan. Alec Baldwin played the character as well, though, as Ben Affleck. But like I said, these are really fun movies. And on 4K, though, definitely huge improvements on the films. Definitely, if you guys have the capacity, would be definitely worth upgrading these ones on 4K for sure. And the big thing with 4K, like I've said in the past, is the HDR, which is the high dynamic range, which basically means, higher contrast levels where the pictures have deeper darks. It has, more shadows to the films. It has also brighter, basically the picture is much brighter as well. That's one of the biggest things I notice with 4K is the picture is super, super, kind of brightens it up and everything. And of course, you get better detail as well, but the HDR is the biggest thing I would say you noticed. But in here, though, it has all the films, like I said, and has them all on 4K, and they're all on their own discs. And it also has the Blu-rays, and all the films are on their own discs as well on the Blu-ray releases. And it also has, of course, the features as well from the past releases. And some of them have the features on the 4Ks, but all of them are on the Blu-rays, though. But some of the ones, the 4K discs themselves, include the features. And the next one I got here is from Paramount as well. This is the new Johnny Knoxville film that he stars in, Action Point. This is basically about, it starts off with Johnny Knoxville's character as an old man telling the story to his granddaughter about how years back he owned and ran this kind of theme park where it was like super dangerous, and they had like these insane crazy rides. He's basically telling the granddaughter kind of the whole story about how the place started and how they built like a theme park nearby, like 30 miles away to the place, and because of that, business started going down at his theme park, and he had to figure out what he was going to do to get people to start coming there again. So he kind of like modified all the rides, and the rides were all rickety and run down anyway, but he kind of like took off all the safety precautions of the rides, made it so they were super, super dangerous and these insane things. So he was doing that pretty much to try and get people to come to the park. And in this movie, though, it pretty much like all the stunts and stuff, because when he's going down the crazy rides, Johnny Knoxville's character, and all this stuff's like happening to him, all this like insane stuff, all the stuff was actually real stunts, so it was actually him doing it. It's not like where familiar with Bad Grandpa, where it was like, you know, hidden camera on the street kind of stuff. This one is basically just like a narrative film, but all the stunts in it were all, you know, really done by him and some of the stunt actors in the film as well. I thought it was a fun film, not absolutely amazing or anything though, but there was some funny stuff in this though that happened. But it has on here though a bunch of featurettes on the film. It also has on here bloopers as well on this one. The next one here is from a company called 4 Digital Media, and this is one I literally just finished watching this. This was such a cool movie, and I did not know much about this one going into this, but that's definitely one of these ones I would say is probably one of my top recommendations. Really would recommend you guys go after this one and check this out. It's a movie here called Hostel, and the thing I liked about this one was, you know, it's a horror film, but it also has like a lot of heart to it because it deals though with this couple and kind of how they met and everything, and kind of like the ups and downs of their relationship on the back of like, because basically though the movie is set in the post-apocalyptic future. That's why they say Mad Max meets Resident Evil. It's about this girl driving through the desert, kind of trying to look for supplies and everything. And when she's driving through though, you see right when she gets to this one trailer, there ends up being some type of a creature or something in there, and she has to fight the creature off. She ends up driving away, and she got some supplies. And when she's driving though, this picture of her and this guy, you know, you find out, you know, throughout more about this guy, who he is and everything, but it ends up, you know, going out the window. And when she tries to grab it, she ends up getting, you know, crashing the car, and then of course the car flips and she finds herself stuck out in the desert. And of course though, one of these creatures is out in the desert as well, trying to get into the car. And throughout this movie, though, it ends up flashing back to her in the, you know, to basically how she met the guy in the picture at his gallery, and kind of like, you know, their relationship and everything. And, you know, it shows, too, this girl was dealing with, like, drugs and all sorts of problems in her life. And it's a very sad movie, though. It's like, it was one of those movies, like, I kind of got a little teared up to this movie, honestly. But it's basically, though, cuts back and forth though to her trying to protect herself from this creature, as well as basically how she met this guy and her relationship and everything. And I thought it was really well done too, the way they did it, because certain points too, like something bad would happen, you know, and this creature would kind of lunge at the car, and then it would cut to something kind of bad happening in her life. And they're really well done, and the creature is super creepy. It's a very creepy creature, you know, that's the way they did it and everything. Really well done. The next one here is from Umbrella Entertainment, and this is from the Beyond Genres line, the World on Film Beyond Genres, and this is the 4th volume. And this one is a region-free release, so this one is all regions. So you guys can watch this one on any Blu-ray player. There's no like region code or region locking on it, so you guys can watch this one on an American Blu-ray player, you know, in the UK. But this is an Australian company though. But like I said, totally region free, so no problem. If you guys are in America, you can watch this on any regular Blu-ray player. But this is the film here, Razorback, which is one of those movies I had heard about throughout the years, but had never seen it before. And like everyone was always saying how cool it was. I will say too, when I was watching this, I was thinking, because there was these sequences. There were like these dream sequences, and I was like, man, this really feels like a 80s, like a really cool 80s music video. And this movie was set in, you know, it was from the 80s. But I looked up the director, and he directed videos for like, I think like Duran Duran and Elton John, and like some of these really classic videos. And you know, you could tell that he really knew music videos because of some of these sequences, which were amazing. Like the whole color and look to this movie is amazing. It's, you know, it has a, you know, the transfer on here though, it's a brand new 4K transfer of the film, and it looks amazing. They did such a good job cleaning up this movie. I love these covers as well, but essentially though, the covers to this Beyond Genres line, this is basically though about this like insanely huge wild boar. In the beginning of the movie though, this little kid is like killed, this baby is killed when the grandfather is watching this kid, and he ends up being basically looked at as like, how do you let this happen, and like what happened to this kid. And you know, so this guy has always had a vengeance for trying to track down and kill this wild boar. But then, like, you know, it's a number of years later, this girl is coming to town who's a reporter, and she's going to be doing a story on kind of like the slaughtering of kangaroos. She came from, I think she was supposed to be from, I think, Canada or New York. She kind of changed around where she was saying a couple times, so I'm not sure. But I think it might have been, I don't know for sure, but she came there to kind of go and do a story on these kangaroos that were killed. But of course, when she goes out there, she discovers and sees this giant wild boar. And it's basically what ends up happening to her, and like hunting down. I don't want to ruin this movie because there's like a whole lot of stuff happening, and it's like kind of goes back and forth between the characters and like the girl's boyfriend and everything. But really, really, such a cool movie, and super gory as well. Like insane, like creature effects for this giant wild boar. This was, I honestly, the music in this movie was cool. Everything about this movie was cool. Like I said, I can't believe I didn't see this movie till now. It has on here though a commentary track on here with the director. It has an audio interview with actor Gregory Harrison. It has on here some cast and crew interviews on this. Some extended ones. It has the Razorback VHS cut, which is the VHS version of the film as well, you guys can watch. And that has the original Australian uncut home video version of this. But just such a cool movie. Also has on here deleted scenes as well on this one. But just highly recommend you guys check this out. Like I said, totally region free, so you guys in America can watch that one, you know, on any region's coding. Because a lot of times when I say region free, sometimes people think I mean you need to have like an all region Blu-ray player or something. No, that one's just a regular, you know, US Blu-ray player will work fine. The next one here is from Universal, and I'll put a link below where you guys can order this one for the best price. And this is the documentary here, and I saw this in theaters as well. And this is on, on Mr. Rogers, and this is Won't You Be My Neighbor. This is a really, really well done documentary on the life of Mr. Rogers, and it kind of has like, kind of shows like how he started and how he, you know, kind of how he sort of almost fell into this show becoming the success it was, and kind of like, as originally he kind of thought he was going to be a preacher, but then it ended up kind of turning into him going on the air with the show, and the show ended up taking off. And it has interviews with people who were from, you know, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, like the main cast members. It has interviews with Mr. Rogers' wife. And it's like basically just kind of all about his life and kind of how he started and how the show grew to success, and how too he would always too, if there was something kind of controversial in the world or there was something negativity that was going on, he would try and find ways to bring positivity to, you know, to the situation. And it was showing all the stuff too with the war that was going on at the time and everything. It's a really well done, like I said, documentary on all this stuff about him that I didn't know. And it was really cool too, because I, you know, as a kid I watched Mr. Rogers, you know, growing up, so I watched the later ones with him, you know, that and Reading Rainbow, and of course Pee-wee. But those were all like the three of those ones that were like the educational kind of learning things. Of course Pee-wee was more of a goofy one, but Mr. Rogers was much more of a normal kind of take on everything. But I watched all those, and it was cool too to see a lot of the characters, you know, the actors and stuff like that that were on the show coming back talking about him. But would highly recommend you guys check this one out if you guys are a fan of Mr. Rogers. And even if you didn't know too much about him, I feel like that's one of those things you could still pick up on a whole lot with it. And the next one I got here is from Fox, and this is Wes Anderson's new film, Isle of Dogs, which this is, you know, done in the same stop-motion animation style of these really cool, kind of intricate, kind of puppet kind of sort of look to the characters that he used in Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is basically, though, set in Japan, where all the dogs, basically these dogs had kind of gotten sick, and they were kind of worried that it was kind of going to spread the flu to everyone in, you know, in Japan. So all the dogs were exiled on this trash island where all the dogs lived together. It was kind of like all the dogs in this movie that were talking to each other. And it's about one of the dog's owners who ends up, you know, coming in to try and rescue his dog and get him back, and he crash lands down. And it's him, you know, and he can't speak to the dogs because, you know, they can't talk to him. And it's pretty much him going on this journey with the dogs to try and figure out where his dog is. And of course you find out more about where the dog is, and it's kind of just the whole journey. And it's like, and I love too, like all the characters of dogs, you know, like Bill Murray, a bunch of different actors have done, you know, did the voice work in here, like Jeff Goldblum, Scarlett Johansson, Edward Norton, so a whole bunch of different people doing the voice work in this. But just a really, really, really fun movie. If you guys haven't seen this one, highly recommend you guys check this out. Has on here, though, some special features on the animators on this, Isle of Dogs cast interviews, as well as some stuff on here about, like I said, more making of stuff on the movie as well. Next ones here are all from Vinegar Syndrome, and these ones also have, I believe all of them have limited edition slipcovers as well that you guys can get from the site with them, I'm pretty sure. This first one here is a movie here called Dear Dead Delia. Dear Dead Delia. I think I'm saying it really wrong. Delia. I guess I can't say that word, but it's basically though about this woman in the very beginning of the movie who ends up killing her mother. She kind of cracks up, Delia. I can't say it. It's filming this at 5:30 in the morning, so I guess I can't say it. But she ends up cracking up and killing her mother and getting sent to the psych ward. And it's like, I think it's a number of years, yeah, it's 30 years later, she ends up getting out, and she ends up getting, because of something that ends up happening, she ends up getting this job and working at this mansion. And it's kind of like, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that film Straight Jacket, because immediately she gets out, people start dying off at this house, and it's kind of like they're looking at it as like, is she involved in this? But of course, they don't know a lot about this woman, when she's going in there. Hey there, Delia. Yeah, I can't say it. I don't know. But it's basically, though, she ends up cracking up, it's been killing her mother, but it's her, in this house, and more people are starting to die off. But it's actually a really fun movie, and it's like so really crazy. And the woman playing the killer, or, the woman who killed in the beginning and her now, is like amazing. She's like, it's great, just like this great role that she's playing in this. But it has on here, though, a brand new 2K scan on here. It has on here the making of the film, as well as promotional still and article gallery on this one, and also really, really good transfer. Vinegar Syndrome always does a great job on their transfers. This next one here is a movie here called Shot. This is, was shot on 16 millimeter, and it's like, I always like the look of 16 millimeter. It's a really cool look, and you never see much shot on it anymore. Like, I feel like the last time it was like in a big movie you saw it was Captain Phillips. Shot like a couple sequences in 16 millimeter, and that was like the coolest stuff, those little pieces that they filmed. But this is basically like a gritty cop film about this like detective who ends up, taking down this one guy who's like this, bad guy who's like into drugs and everything, and he's basically convinces his girlfriend to kind of work for him and the team on trying to bring down like the rest of the team that the boyfriend was with and everything. And like I said, it's just a super gritty crime film. This is from 1973. Like I said, it has a brand new 2K scan from the 16 millimeter. Has an interview in here with the director, audio interview with the producer on this one. Like I said, I believe this one, all three of them, I'm pretty sure have slipcovers on these. And this one is a really fun movie that was shot in the Philippines. In the 70s and 80s, they filmed a lot of horror movies and like films in the Philippines. I think they even did a documentary about some of the movies that were shot there. And Sid Haig is actually in this movie as well. And this is a movie here called Wonder Woman. This is not, the Wonder Woman. This is another movie, but it's called, Wonder Woman. Not Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. And this is basically, though, about these team of these women who go and kidnap men and bring them back because this doctor is doing these experiments with them. They basically want to do experiments where they can kind of transfer someone who is like their body into someone, like their soul into a body. Like if someone was like in a wheelchair or had something wrong with them, they could transfer their body into this body that didn't have anything the matter with it. So it could, like, someone who was in a wheelchair wouldn't need to be in a wheelchair. It would be switched to another body, or like an old person or a young person's body. That kind of thing is basically what they're trying to do. But they end up kidnapping this one guy who's like in the sports star, and they end up making this guy this guy who's like a detective who comes into town. They force him to try and track down them and bring down these women and get the guy back and everything. It's just a crazy, super wacky movie. This another one has the brand new 2K scan from the 35 millimeter. It has on here a Q&A from 2007 at the New Beverly Cinema. There's a 2007 screening of this one. Has a commentary track on here with the director, as well as the extended European version of the film. And the next one's here from MVD, from the MVD Classics line. I believe these are the first titles on the MVD Classics line, and these are two different Jess Franco films. This is Diamonds of Kilimanjaro and Golden Temple, Amazon. And, if you guys don't know Jess Franco, he did, I think he directed, over 200 movies. I always like his stuff. One of my favorite ones that he ever did was a movie called Faceless. I feel like that's a kind of an underrated one he did that I always really, really loved. But the first one, Diamonds of Kilimanjaro, is basically, though, about this girl who is in a plane crash with her father, and she ends up getting taken in by the tribe and raised as their own because the father dies. And it's pretty much, though, tribe is this cannibalistic tribe, and you know, it's years later this expedition has gone there to try and find this tribe as well as this girl, and the tribe also has like these things that they're trying to get as well, like these treasures and everything. It's essentially though about them trying to, you know, rescue her and get these treasures, but of course though this girl now has been kind of like conditioned to this tribe, and you know, she's kind of like brutal as well, and like, you know, like I said, there's all this cannibalistic kind of stuff going on, and it's basically them trying to get her back and, you know, hopefully not get eaten. It's a very fun movie. Also, the Jess Franken movies always have really, really fun synth music. I also want to mention, too, both of them have the English language version of the films. But this one, Golden Temple Amazons, this one was about a family that ended up discovering this all-girls tribes. They had like a kind of like all this gold and these temples and everything in there, and the family ends up discovering it, and these girls come after them and kill the parents, and the girl ends up surviving, and she ends up getting raised by a nearby tribe. And it's years later she wants to basically go and get revenge and take down this girl, this female tribe, because of her, you know, they killed her family. And that's essentially what it is. Like I said, this one has really, really fun synth music. Both of them, though, they did a really good job cleaning up these movies. You know, and if you guys are a fan of Jess Franco, definitely would recommend you guys check these out. The next one here is from MVD as well. It's a movie here called Misfit. And this is basically about this girl who's like picked on really terribly in school. Like all the girls are giving all kinds of problems and everything. And years later, though, you know, years in the beginning of this movie, you find out about there was this serial killer that was killing people with this like kind of hook type thing, like a farm type hook, and you know, he kind of went dormant and was missing for like 6 years. But this girl who was getting tormented, the one day this killer ends up witnessing her being, you know, picked on and everything, and he basically takes her under his wing and, you know, basically trains her and tells her how to get revenge on these girls and how to torture them. And it's pretty much, though, about her getting revenge on these girls, and it's a real crazy situation of everything that's going on, about her being trained by this guy, and, you know, it's not going to be good for these girls that picked on her. It's like just a crazy, super crazy revenge film here, and like I said, this one is from MVD as well. The next one here is from PBS, and this is the Great British Baking Show, the complete 5th season. And I've seen like the first, I think, 2 seasons of this show, and this is like, it's basically, though, a competition show where they end up having bakers, you know, from the UK, you know, British bakers. It's kind of like all of them, they come from all different walks of life, all different age groups, and it's them kind of going into kind of like this challenges together, and it has like making cakes, breads, desserts, pies, puddings, pastries, and it's biscuits and stuff like that, and they're all kind of like voted on who's the winner, and then, you know, people get kicked out throughout the end. They end up having, you know, the winner of the competition. The thing I like about like the cooking shows from the UK and everything is they're much more slowish and like not quick, because like shows that like in the US and everything are like super fast, quick cut, and like, you know, that kind of, this kind of show has much more like character development on the character, you know, the actual people who are coming on to cook and everything. And I don't know, it's like a different kind of take on the whole thing. The next one here is from Time Life. Just want you guys know that this one is available, and this is Ronan Martin's Laugh-In. This is the complete 6th season here of the show. I've talked about like there's been like full sets of this and everything, but now they were releasing them throughout I think that the last year or so they were releasing the single sets of the series. So if you guys are a fan of this sketch comedy show, this is the complete 6th season. This one is available now. This has on here a whole bunch of different you know, cameo actors who appear in the show. The sketch show has like Dick Martin. It has Gary Owen, Ruth Buzzy, you know, Richard Dawson, a whole bunch of different people. Like I said, just want you guys know that this one is available. The last one here is from the director sent over a copy of this one to let you guys know about. It's a movie here called Gehenna. I don't know how to say this for sure. Where Death Lives, Gehenna. I'm sure I'm saying this wrong, but it's a really creepy creature in this. It's basically, though, you know, about this land developer who is trying to open up this resort on this island. I think it was in. I think it was pretty sure. Yeah, it was in Japan. They're trying to open up on this sort of sacred land. They were trying to open up this resort, and he ends up saying this woman there to go and look at the area that he wants to open the resort. And they're kind of like her, along with these people, kind of trekking through the jungle, and end up discovering this like underground bunker. And of course, though, you know, even along the way, they're having sort of weird things happening. And it's about them kind of going into the bunker, and of course, you see this creature, and you know there was like weird, because in the very beginning you see like these weird rituals and stuff going on. And it's basically, though, them going into this bunker and of course finding themselves stuck down there with these creatures. And it's got sort of like a Descent type feel to it, but extremely creepy movie. It has on here though a bunch of features as well. It has a production diary on here, some stuff on here with some featurettes, effects featurettes as well on this one. But anyway though guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.